먼저 제일 뒤에 빨간 옷 입으신 분, 예.
지금 그 종목을 선정을 하실 때 직접 선정을 뭐 하시면 가장 중요하게 보시는 이제 투자 지표가 있을 것 같은데 그게 뭔지 좀 궁금하고요. 그리고 밸류에이션은 또 어떻게 하시는지 궁금하고 이제 주가가 많이 떨어지게 되면 손절도 하실 것 같은데 손절 기준이 따로 있으신지 궁금합니다.
Thank you for the question. First, if you make investment decisions because of who's president, you're never going to make money because, and we've written about this, as much as we think presidents change the stock market, they have very little impact. So if you don't like Trump, that should not prevent you from buying U.S. stocks, okay? Otherwise, not only do you have Trump derangement syndrome, but you'll have stock market derangement syndrome. In terms of Granny, we don't pick stocks based on an index. What we do is we list the 7 most important themes in the market. And those themes are things like labor shortage, which leads to automation, cybersecurity, energy security, millennials, the importance of millennials, monetary policy, and sort of the manufacturing cycle. So we look at things that really have multiple year drivers, and we focus on the most important stocks in each. We rebalance this every 3 months, so we're not trading it a lot. And we remove stocks. Like we recently removed Accenture, which is an IT consulting company, but really that company was dependent on government spending. You know, most IT companies like McKinsey and Accenture benefit from government spending. And when the government spending DOGE starts to scrutinize costs, that's why those stocks do poorly. So we almost removed FICO from the granny shots because the FHA is trying to cut the fees that FICO receives for scores, but we decided that was more of a threat than an actual risk. So I think in granny, we're not trading it very much. I think that's been our advantage because when Tesla was under pressure, and do you remember how many people were saying Elon has to leave the White House? We were arguing that that was a buying opportunity. And remember, Tesla went to 214. It might have gone to 176, but now it's back to 330. So imagine if you had Trump derangement syndrome, you sold Tesla at 200, and you missed out on a 120-point rise in Tesla.
그 원래 그 톱다운에서 그 전략을 짤 때 이제 큰 테마들, 사회 경제를 바꾸는 테마를 하고 이제 그 아이디어에 맞는 가장 베스트 종목들을 고르거든요. 아마 이제 그러시는 것 같습니다. 우리 다음 질문, 우리 바로 옆에 계신 분, 그 다음에 여기 오겠습니다.
네. 어제 3프로 TV 영상에서 이제 삼리 대표님께서 6월 말부터 8월까지 약간의 조정이 있을 수 있다라고 이제 말씀을 하셨던 걸로 기억이 납니다. 일단 첫 번째로 해서 그 이유가 일단 먼저 궁금하고요. 그리고 두 번째로 이제 제 개인적으로는 이제 미국 정부의 부채 한도 협상에 따른 이제 채권 발행으로 유동성이 축소가 되고 그로 인해서 이제 또 주식이 조정받을 수도 있다라고 생각을 하고 있는데 그런 부분도 이제 말씀하신 이유에 속하는지 그런 부분도 좀 궁금합니다.
Thank you for the question. Yes, yesterday on 3Pro TV, I was explaining that it wouldn't surprise me if the stock market needed to consolidate. A consolidation means that it's not obvious that we go straight up. Number one, we just gained 25% in 8 weeks. So we can't continue to go up at that rate. The second is that the U.S. is considering intervening in the Israel-Iran war. And we know that there's this view about wars, which is you, quote, sell the invasion, okay? So meaning markets get nervous as war talk rises, but you buy the invasion. So like when the US makes the decision to intervene, now that could be dropping bombs or supporting, but entering the actual conflict, that's when stocks will actually likely rise because investors have been worried about it. So we consolidate into that event. And the third, of course, is that Fed Chair Powell just told everybody inflation's going to rise this summer. So anybody who's been sitting on cash is going to say, I can't buy stocks until after the summer because the Fed told me there's inflation. So investors are going to wait. So those are the reasons why I think the market consolidates. But that shouldn't prevent you from buying stocks because let's say that you believe that at the start of this week. Well, Palantir, Tesla, Circle all did really well. I mean, Circle started the week at, I think it started the week at like 130 and it's 240. So plenty of stocks can still go up.
그 최근 미국 시장 보면 생각보다 강하고 참 유동성이 많다는 그런 생각이 듭니다. 우리 다음 질문 여기 앞에 좀 해주시죠.
지금 미국 같은 경우에는 AI로 인해 많은 산업들이 뭐 바뀌고 있고 뭐 코딩을 하는 뭐 개발업자들이 뭐 잘리고 있다고 들었는데 혹시 지금 탐리께서 지금 하고 있는 그 사업에서는 AI를 어떻게 이용을 하고 있고 투자나 이런 부분에서 어떤 것을 어떤 좀 이용하고 있는지 좀 알고 싶습니다. 어떻게 이용하고 있는지.
Fundstrat has changed a lot over the last 10 years. When we started our company, it was purely research, and that meant we had old-fashioned research analysts that went to the library, put together models, we surveyed clients. But today, it's almost 20% of our research team, maybe 25%, are software engineers. So we've changed our company to ingest a lot more data and using data science. And I know now within our own company, we're using machine learning and AI natively to do things like customer service, data mining. Even actually we're experimenting with advertisements using AI, so using VO to do even potentially create AI influencers that talk about different parts of our business. So we're using it, but I don't think we'll be using it to write our research or to find research ideas because we've already tinkered with that. And what we find that it does is it copies what everybody else does. So it's not original. So if you have a function that you're trying to be unique and original that creates value, it's probably not an AI product. But if you're trying to replace something that's really repetitive and you want someone to do it better without being tired of doing it, then that's where our AI actually is really useful.
그 펀드스트랫이 원래 그 독립 리서치 회사로 시작을 했는데 지금 우리 텀리 대표 말씀 들어보니까 AI, 머신 러닝 이러한 하여간 IT 기술을 활용해서 점점 혁신적인 그런 금융회사로 발전하는 것 같습니다. 다음 질문 있으실까요? 앞에 해주시죠.
톱니 대표님께서는 굉장히 낙관적인 투자자로 알고 있는데 그런 톱니 대표님께서도 그 이제 달러라든지 아니면 채권이라든지 아니면 뭐 경기 방어주라든지 혹시 그 방어적인 포트폴리오를 구축하는 시점이 있으신지 그리고 구축하게 된다면 어떤 방식으로 구축하시는지 좀 궁금합니다.
Well, I think people think I'm optimistic, but if anyone actually follows our research, especially over the last 35 years, they realize that we're actually very paranoid. So we tend to identify things that are going to disrupt other people. I mean, I'll give you an example. Tesla is a stock we liked because we thought it was going to be very bad for the auto industry, right? So there's winners and losers. NVIDIA has actually made Intel obsolete. So what really is our strength as a company is that it's not that we're optimistic. We've been on the right side of disruption. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if someone was advocating for Intel, they're not only are they wrong, but they probably would be angry this whole time and bearish because Intel's been a bad stock. But we didn't waste our time telling people to buy Intel. I think Bitcoin is a huge hedge because, and again, we have advocated for Bitcoin because it is a bet against fiat currencies. So we've been bearish on fiat because everything denominated in Bitcoin has gone down in value. You know, so I think people confuse the fact that we're optimistic. The reality is we've been on the right side of history.
네, 저기 미국에서 오신 분.
Data-driven, I would say, optimism is just denied in the tech companies, including Tesla. And my husband is a big fan of Tesla and a big fan of you too. But I tend to play sort of cautious realist in the room, and I believe in the company's long-term vision, but I can't help wondering that what kind of systemic or unexpected headwinds that those tech companies, including Tesla, would see within the next 5 years or so. And I believe they're going to overcome that. But while we kind of, the risks that you foresee, and what will be their strategies to overcome that like risk or kind of situation. Thank you.
Yes, and your question's on Tesla specifically, right?
Yeah, I mostly invest in Tesla, but including all the industry, like the big tech industry in general. If you could see those some risk that are foreseeable risk. Kind of.
Yeah. Well, so the biggest risk to Tesla, like if you would, let's say that you own Tesla and you've made a lot of money in it. The biggest risk to you is if there's another Tesla coming, right? And so what is Tesla today? One, they have fanatical customer loyalty. I mean, fanatical, because does anybody here drive a Tesla? Okay. I'd say people who own a Tesla tell you it is not even like owning a car. It's like owning a smart assistant. You know, it's that good. And we know Tesla is already making a push into robots and integrating AI. I mean, pretty much no American company is even doing this. Like Apple can't do it because Apple doesn't make a car. Apple just makes a smartphone or a watch and headphones. The risk to Tesla is if Chinese cars in America match the reputation Tesla has. I think Chinese electric cars, some of them are better than a Tesla. But I don't think they deliver the Tesla experience for people. So it's like chocolate. Like Hershey's is Hershey's, okay? And then someone makes like a Mars chocolate bar And it might be technically better, but it doesn't mean they're going to take over Hershey. I mean, Hershey is not even compared to Tesla, but I'm just giving it as an example. So I think you should only worry about Tesla if there's another Tesla coming. I don't think you should worry about Tesla just because they'll sell BYD cars in America. Even if it's cheaper, it doesn't change people's attachment to Tesla. And that's the same thing with NVIDIA. You should sell NVIDIA if there's another NVIDIA coming. But how is someone going to replace NVIDIA? They're in all the data centers. They have CUDA. You know, they have Jensen Huang. The smartest people, when they graduate college, they don't apply for a job at AMD. You know, they want to get a job at NVIDIA. Until that changes, you know, no one can touch them. So that's the way to think of it. Like, who is a threat to NVIDIA is another NVIDIA. And if there's no other NVIDIA, then you stick with NVIDIA.
I think Tom's comment was really about the framework to think about the company, industry, and stock ideas. 그 다른 질문 더 계실까요? 네, 여기 검은 옷 입으신 분.
이번에 7월이면 또 관세 유예가 이제 또 얘기가 나올 상황이고 그런 상황에서 지금 미국과 중국의 그 패권이 앞으로 어떻게 전개가 될 건지에 대해서 의견을 좀 듣고 싶고요.
The U.S. and China have been at war with each other for more than the past decade. So nothing this year is really that different than the battles that have been underway for the last 20 years. Both countries are competing to be the dominant economic and military power, right? I mean, it's just, so it used to be Russia and the US, and Russia collapsed, so now it's China and the US. And they play by different rules, and they're trying to hurt each other by restricting imports and exports. China's ahead in AI. You can't really change that by restricting NVIDIA chips. US has a better tech culture, and, you know, so do I think anything in 2025 has changed the dynamic? I think that's what the media and all these experts want you to believe, that somehow the tariff negotiations are going to change everything forever. Does that even make sense? Like, let's say that you had a neighbor that you hated for 20 years, and then you're putting up a fence and you figure once we solve this fence problem, we'll be friends. Like, no, you're probably going to hate each other. Nothing's going to change, and it never changed. I don't think we should put that much weight on the tariffs, because I don't think it changes anything, because everyone's going to either cheat or find it, you know, or it's not going to last. So I know that it dominates headlines and people have told you it matters a lot. But personally ask yourself, did you make a better investment decision this year because you made a trade based on the tariff war, right? It probably made you make a bad decision. Chinese stocks did fine anyways, you know, because of the tariff war.
저 여성분 질문해 주시죠, 뭐.
개별 기업에 대해서는 말씀을 하지 않는다고 하시는데 저희가 요즘 뭐 핸드폰 디바이스에 대한 이야기가 많이 나오고 있고 저희 나라의 삼성 현재 하는 갤럭시 폰이 있고 그다음에 이제 미국의 대표사 애플 제가 쓰고 있는 애플 폰이 있는데 지금 최근에 그 메타 글래스에서 스페인에서 있었던 그 통신사 그런 발표회 때 보면 이제 그러한 그 wearable 글래스가 나오면서 우리가 가지고 있는 들고 다니는 핸드폰이 너무 크다 이런 시각도 많이 나오고 핸드폰에 이런 디바이스가 없어지지는 않을까 하는 그런 여러 가지 생각들이 있는데요. 방금 말씀하셨듯이 애플도 뭐 해자가 있는 진입 장벽이 있는 회사였었는데 지금 이제 AI로 조금 뒤지는 바람에 애플이 위기가 뭐 노키아처럼 또 없어질 때 위기가 생기지 않을까 이런 우려시 되는 이야기들이 있는데 그 점에 대해서 대표님께서는 어떻게 생각하시는지 말씀해 주시고요.
Thank you for the question. I used to be a wireless analyst, so I followed the industry for 14 years. So I know the companies very well. The smartphone, I think, has a lot of staying power because what it is it's a mobile computer that you carry with you. That isn't going to be disrupted by glasses, you know? But glasses is another input device because it's taking in visual information and it's allowing you to interact, but it can't have the battery power and the visual and the computation and the apps. So I think smartphones are still mobile until you get it implanted in your body or something. But there might be more growth in a smartphone that's in a robot, you know? Like maybe we'll all have a robot and that's where like, is Apple gonna be involved in that business? So that is what you have to ask yourself. In the future, maybe more devices are in a companion robot that you tell it to fetch you things and get you things, and that's the evolution of smartphones. So I think Apple's fine, you know. They're always late. You know, they entered the mobile business in 2007, and Nokia dominated mobile phones from 1996 to 2007. So 14 years, Nokia was the king, and Apple entered it in 2007, and then Nokia went bankrupt like, you know, in 2 years. So Apple can be late, you know, with AI. I think Apple's, you know, AI is gonna deflate at some point because AI is creating its own destruction. You know, it's quickly becoming a commodity.
그 애플은 항공모함 같은 거죠. 구축함이 아니어서 이게 이제 한번 턴을 하는 게 힘듭니다. 근데 한번 턴을 하면 완벽을 기하는 그런 능력도 있고, 저희가 이제 시간이 돼서 그 질문 하나, 진짜 마지막 질문 해주실 분, 뒤에 모자 쓰신 분. 예.
I'd like to hear your opinion on the healthcare sector. I understand that the current return of the healthcare sector is relatively low in U.S market. I would appreciate if you could share your outlook for the healthcare sector in the second half of this year.
We have been neutral on healthcare for several years. And in 2025, our view is healthcare is a sector where the PE multiple will probably go down for two reasons. One is, of course, RFK is head of HHS, and he is a notorious anti-healthcare industry person.
You mean the Kennedy, the minister, right?
Yeah. Yes, he's a cabinet, you know, basically the head of U.S. government healthcare. And because of Doge, government cuts are really targeting some of the excess in healthcare spending. So I think it's a headwind that makes it difficult to own those stocks. And maybe 2026 could be different, but between now and end of the year, I'm not that optimistic.
네, 명확한 답변을 해주셨고요. 저도 6개월 만에 우리 텀리 대표를 뵀지만 진짜 이 지식의 셈이 무궁무진 나오는 것 같고, 저희가 질문을 드리면 오늘 밤새도록 토론을 해도 될 것 같은데 오늘 밤 비행기 타고 뉴욕으로 돌아가신다니까 하여간 여러분 그 너무 좋은 질문들 많이 해주셨고요. 또 이렇게 직접 우리 뭐 아주 그냥 지척에서 우리 텀리 대표를 뵐 수 있어서 상당히 유익했던 것 같습니다. 그래서 오늘 여기 텀리 Fundstrat 대표님 모시고 하는 행사를 여기서 마치겠습니다. 네, 감사합니다.